If we like something, we're going to give it an upvote, and if we dislike something, we're going to give it a downvote. And at the end of the wonderful episode, we will average those two numbers and come up with an official Popcast score.
So last week's episode ended with the Titan narrowly avoiding capture by the Intrepid thanks to the sacrifice of Rolaren. We know that changelings have infiltrated Starfleet at the highest levels. Jack has something very wrong with him. And we've also learned that, of course, Worf and Raffi have been investigating this undercover all along. So, yeah, now we're here.
Yeah, that was the episode where someone clearly took Jack's dog and he lost his mind.
It started, killing everybody.
Yeah, there's some people didn't know how to feel about that. They were like, I don't know how if I like, Jack Reacher, Jack Crusher, or whatever. I'm like, keep watching. Keep watching.
Yeah, that's true. You know what's funny about this device here? You would not know what that is. Nobody would really know what it was unless you watch the subtitles that the changeling underlings do right now. Because they don't ever actually say like that this is essentially a faux transponder. Like this is the Titan's fake transponder signal that they've dropped. They're like dropping transponders. And that's why the ships are chasing them.
That's rad. That's rad. Okay, where are they, Vadic? So how you feel about Vadic? Yeah, how do you feel about Vadic right now? You think it's you think she's starting to come into her own, or are we have yet to see, like, because up until this point, if I'm going to be honest, I feel like Vadic has yet to really come across as like a three-dimensional villain so far. She's there's something there that's terrifying for sure, but we don't know. I don't know at this point. We don't know if it's is it a comical kind of villain? Is almost like mustache twirling villain, or is there something deeper there?
Well, she definitely comes into her own, and I think throughout this episode, I mean, we see it here. So here is a character who, or what are some of the things she says? She says there will be a day of lifeless bodies burning in space, right? She talks about unity and peace, and she's talking about that within the changelings. But first, they will have vengeance. So we know there's this character is layered, right? We also know that that's complicated because she's working for another person or something, changeling. We're not exactly sure what it is, that has no regard for her or anybody working with her. So there are levels of that. And in this episode, she does things that are sort of unsorted, that make no sense. She's unhinged, and I think you can get that. So I think she definitely is already like elevated above the mustache twirling evil villain, but yet at the same time, you're right. We have not seen her full form, and I think it is building up to that.
Good. That's a great answer, Shane. I didn't expect that detailed of an answer. Thank you.
I've given this some thought.
Clearly. Part 6, The Bounty. I love this. All right. All right. So this is when they're talking about Jack, right?
Yeah. So Jack finally went to his mom and told her, after that last scene where she's essentially afraid of Jack, as he's basically saying he didn't know who was changelings and who wasn't. He just killed everybody. He comes out and says, look, he's been seeing things. So she does a scan, and we find out that he has Irumodic syndrome, which he got from Picard, because it's something that's passed down. And of course, the sad part about it is that it's terminal.
Right.
So you can live a long life with it, but at some point it will kill you. And of course, it is what killed Picard, and it is why he's in a different body now.
A robot golem.
Robot body.
Yeah, you can always do what Picard did. And just turn yourself into an android. Problem solved.
Yeah, well, he has that talk with Jack here a little bit. He actually has a moment where he's kind of like, you're young. There's a lot of time to solve the problem.
Yeah, you got plenty of time. Like, he wasn't going to die until he was like 100 years old. So,
right. Well, he did find out when he was much older. So Picard actually doesn't find out about his Irumodic syndrome until the episode of All Good Things.
Interesting.
So he was much older when he found out that he had it.
Isn't it
And then,
wild that there's a disease that they can't figure out how to treat in the 25th century?
yeah, well, yeah, disease. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's actually does make sense to me because we're not going to know the answer to everything. And he actually doesn't find out that he's terminal until Picard season 1. So he's much older when he finds out about this.
I see.
And so he's having the talk here with Jack, and Jack's kind of responding in a interesting way. He's basically, he's kind of pissed at him because he's like, my mom spent all of my life trying to protect me from collateral damage as a result of you, but I was born with it,
Right.
know, and it's like, damn, that's pretty strong. In fact, I'd like to upvote that. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. All right.
Really well said.
Yeah, I wonder how this plays into his future if we get a show after the fact, is it gonna be, it's not gonna be something we even have to worry about because it can take so long to kill you.
I mean, there's obviously probably a lifetime of it. The fact that, you got to remember, in All Good Things, everybody thought Picard was hallucinating because of his Irmotic syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And so the same thing's happening here. Beverly thinks that Jack is, Picard wasn't hallucinating, right? He was actually,
right,
traveling through time. So it's kind of funny that Beverly says that she knows that Picard was traveling through time, I believe. I don't know if we ever addressed that. I guess the episode ended.
That's a great question. We don't know. We don't know what that version of Beverly knew. And every version of every instance of the timeline was different once he fixed it. So
right. So we don't know what went on after that, but we do know that she does think that Jack also is so they don't really think anything's going on. So we're back to the we kind of know something's not right.
Right.
But they're kind of back to, well, maybe this isn't all about Jack.
Yeah, there's some interesting theories out there, as the chat suggests. There are some theories that he's a shapeshifter, and that they don't know whether or not, maybe he doesn't know he's a shapeshifter, or some other entity has taken over his body and is protecting him from the shapeshifters. Mm. I love this. I love that there are so many people spinning so many theories. Like, this is what I live for as a Trekkie, is seeing all, even if none of them are correct. Honestly, that doesn't matter. The fact that we're able to spin all these tendrils out there and see all these possibilities and have these long 300 comment long Reddit threads where we discuss the ins and outs of the Bajoran wormhole prophets is hilariously awesome. Like, this is like Star Trek, One of my favorite was, what if it has something to do with the holodeck characters rising up, right? So someone's like, so if Moriarty is in this, and Moriarty was a holodeck character, what about that character that Worf killed all the time? The weird skull character that sort of resembles a little bit Vadic's puppet master. Yeah. And like, what if because of a nebula and it shocked the hologram, all these holograms have been treated poorly by the Federation are rising up. And a picture of the one skull looking bad guy that Worf constantly killed in the holodeck.
He's getting revenge.
That's a wildly fun, awesome theory. Don't let that go. That's what makes Trek awesome. And some of these other theories, like the paw rates, there's good points here. There's great points on why they work. People complaining about the changelings and how the way they communicate and they don't kill people because Vadic kills one of the changelings. Remember, this is a terrorist version of the changelings. It's not the same.
Right. They need to point out this is an offshoot of the Great Link. The Great Link decided, hey, we're done, and but a group said, no, we're not done. So they're not on the same page.
Yeah, they're the baddies, and the baddies have no problem killing each other apparently. So they're not following the rules of the Great Link, and they might not even be connected to the Great Link the same way the other in universe changelings are. Just to be clear.
All right. Well, we are ready to continue. Oh, so did we get to Worf yet? Yeah. Yes.
Admiral, permission to come aboard.
You know, just I love the way Worf has always been played. He's the straight guy. He's the straight person who's funny, and doesn't know he's funny, and not trying to be funny, and that's what makes him funny. I just love him. Just give me an upvote because Worf's
Yeah, same here. I'm giving an upvote as well.
They have this great moment. They're back on board. I just, you know, Worf knows exactly how long was the last time they saw him. 11 years, 5 months, and 4 days. He's been counting.
That's awesome.
Since the last time they were together, which was fantastic. And then you get this the inside joke of Chateau Picard continues.
Yes.
Like the teabagging on his wine is just continues as he tells Jean-Luc, your mead is very sour and quite tart.
Yeah, I sent you bottles of mead. You mean the sour mead?
Yeah.
You know what's great is it's like a running joke that his wine sucks.
Right.
And no one knows it, and he doesn't really know it.
Right.
It's hilarious because I have 2 bottles of his wine back here. So
it's a great running joke because there's so many things that are serious about Picard. Like there's so much about the character that over the years that have been serious. You know, the fact that he would have like the greatest wine ever created, like just makes sense. Like, you know, he's going to be the greatest wine in Star Trek, but the fact that everybody's like talking about how they don't want it or it doesn't taste great or whatever, I think is just perfect.
Right. Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
So upvote me for that one too, please.
Yeah, I'll upvote that too. Someone said wine is not mead. I mean, that's true, but Worf doesn't know.
But that's what he called it because Worf don't know. Like,
right. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So this whole reunion, I'm not gonna upvote it a 3rd time, but it's really great.
But I love the look on Worf's faces. You see Beverly; she's like so happy to see him. Right? She's hugging him, and Worf looks like he's in pain.
I mean, come on, you know he's not a hugger.
Yeah, this is the stuff we wanted, guys. This is what we wanted as TNG fans.
The instant reconnection between Riker and Worf is just awesome.
Right.
Like the last time these characters actually saw each other, but like, is it just me or do a lot of people have those friends that like really good friends that you don't actually see very often, right? Maybe you see them every few years even, but the second you reconnect with them, it's like not a day has passed, you know? I have some friends that are such good friends that we can spend almost no time together. But when we see each other again, after like 3 or 4 years of being, you know, separated, we just fall right back into that groove. Like it's no big deal. Yeah.
You're connected to the past.
Right. Some friends I have like that. And I feel like Riker and Worf have this bond where they can just sort of pick up where they left off every time they connect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same. You're tied to the past, the adventures that you went on. I mean, that's what you remember of your friends. And I think when you get back together again, you have this, you kind of get locked back into that time, and it felt very comfortable. Let's not forget one of the most important things that happened here. When Raffi comes on board, she says, she addresses Picard as Jean-Luc, right? Not as JL.
Yes.
Which I thought was great. Because, and here's the thing.
I can't believe I'm going to upvote that. I'm upvoting that right now.
I'll upvote it for me too. Because the thing was, by her calling him JL in the first season of Picard, it basically said, hey, this person is weirdly closer to this character, to Jean-Luc, than really anybody else, because nobody else ever gave him a nickname. Nobody else, he kept everybody at an arm's length. And so it was unearned when Raffi walks up and she's calling him JL like they've been best buddies since she was a kid. Right. And it felt false. It felt wrong. And so that gets cleaned up here by, Jean. She don't refer to him as JL. And I think that's the best thing that could happen here.
Yeah, and you got a really good point there. It's not earned. That's why in Picard season 1 it was so exhausting, I guess is the only word I can use.
Cringy.
Every time she said JL, I was like, stop talking. Stop it. Oh my God, stop. because we've grown up with this character, and we wouldn't call the character JL.
Right.
So when this random person who, from our perspective, has no connection to him, and none of his friends, and we wouldn't, like, in this fictional universe, if I was in that fictional universe, I would not call him JL. He deserved more. That character deserves respect. Every time she did that, it drove me nuts, and it would take me out of the episode because it was so unlike what should be happening. So I'm really glad that that's not happening here.
Yeah, and then we also get a kind of an awkward moment here between Raffi and Seven, because we know that they're no longer in a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. And you must have skipped back. Yeah, so it happens here pretty quickly.
Yeah,
it's when she gets off the pad there, and they just kind of, they're no longer in a relationship, but they're doing their best to be professional. You can see, so.
Yeah, cool. You just burn past that whole thing. It didn't make any sense in season 2 anyways. So let's just burn past it.
Well, they set it up in season 1. It was such a weird thing. Like the very final shot of season 1, when they're showing the La Sirena, you see the shot pan around and like they're holding hands.
Right, in season 1, yeah.
And so that wasn't earned. They just spent a whole season together. There was no longing looks, whispering in the corners, no love building between these two characters, and all of a sudden they're holding hands in the final scene, and you're like, come on, guys, you can't have two characters fall in love that you never see them actually fall in love.
Yeah, off screen. Like,
and then when you learn the story of how they decided they were going to create this couple, that they were at some sort of party, and they were jokingly like, being goofy with each other.
Right.
And some, foolish young writer or whatever came up and said, "Oh my God, we should make you guys lesbians."
Right.
And it's like everybody's drunk and everybody's like, what a great idea.
Yeah, here's a reenactment. Oh my God, that would be hilarious. What will be hilarious? What if on the show we were like a couple? Oh my God, that's so funny. And some like, let's do that. That's a great idea.
Right. Yeah, it was all a joke. It was just funny. And then somebody like who can make things happen was like, yes, let's do that. But the problem is like
they wake up the next morning and they have new pages and they're like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, they don't, it's earned. Like we said about the JL, like you got to earn these story changes, especially with legacy characters who have like a history of not being, a lesbian. So, the fact that, you can have it if you want, but it needs to be earned. So the bottom line is, going into this season, they're now not together. And I think there's one more time when it gets addressed. But I thought this was handled very professionally. They didn't sit here and linger on it,
Yes. Yeah, no, they didn't. I love that. Okay. Now we get to the old conference. This is a conference room, right? Ready room? What is this? Someone corrected me last time.
I think it's the ready room.
Okay. Well, so let's just call it the ready room. It has the same purpose, guys. Every time someone corrects us, it's not the ready room, it's the conference room. I don't know. Listen, they're all gathered there talking about
room. Yeah. Right.
Right.
It's essentially the same thing.
Right.
I mean, it may be in two different locations. There's probably an operations room. If you want to get specific about it, there's an ops room where you do ops planning. Then you've got, the boss's office, which is the ready room. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, they're talking about the changelings, the Dominion War. All right, you want to fill in this episode?
You get a nice little backdrop. Worf gives, he addresses the Dominion War, talks about, basically kind of what's happened. And let me see here.
He says there are scars and shame on both sides. I love that.
Yeah, and we get the fact that, the Dominion War happened and that Starfleet basically created a virus, to wipe out the changelings. But then Picard quickly says, well, they also came up with the cure, right? And then Shaw here, says not without weaponizing a few zealots in the process. So, it kind of tells the whole story broken down by multiple different characters here, which is nice.
Yeah, so it's referring to, obviously, the splinter terrorist group of changelings that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, and essentially we learned that there's less than 48 hours until Frontier Day, and there's still no answers.
Right.
They also know that they're going to need to go to Daystrom Station in order to investigate what the changeling stole.
Right, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Is this our real first look at like the inside of a Daystrom?
Yeah, so you have Daystrom Institute. This is the first Daystrom Station. So you have Daystrom Institute, but this is like a black site for Daystrom. Off the books, Section 31 stuff, things like that.
Yeah, super rad. There's a subreddit called the Daystrom Institute, and I'm just like, I can't wait. I'm gonna go there tomorrow after enough people have had time to process this episode, and watch everyone just unravel. The whole point of the subreddit is right now, this moment.
Right.
All right. Yeah. They're talking about everything we just. There's an astonishingly lethal AI system, which I liked.
Yes. Yeah.
So they gotta go there and they gotta use the key. Blah blah blah. All right.
This is actually really funny.
Yeah. Breakups on my home world seldom end without bloodshed.
Well, it's before that though. He says, there's this like really uncomfortable moment. Like, well, it's not uncomfortable. So Worf doesn't care. Right. So it's obvious that Raffi and Seven are like, they were together. And then Worf has this line right here. I have gone into battle with lovers. Right. And all of a sudden the whole room's a little bit like weirdly uncomfortable between the two of them. Right. And so he says, and I suggest, basically suggests that 7 of 9 comes along with them. And then when she passes, he's like, good, because they seldom end in bloodshed. And it was just so funny because, basically he's going to say, if we put you two together, somebody's going to get killed. So basically they have an hour on Daystrom. So they got an hour to figure out. They're trying to find the log so I can find out what the changeling stole. But the problem is that as soon as they get down there, basically Starfleet ships show up. So even this whole like fake transponder thing they've been doing, dropping their transponders and getting them off scent, is not working. And they've shown up here. They followed the Titan. So they're trying to quickly get the away team off of the station so they can escape, but they can't because apparently there are transport inhibitors. Now, we do realize here that Kryn's device did work. So when they initially get down there, the computer, it's kind of funny that they gave the computer a little bit of a humor, and the computer's like, identify yourself immediately, right? So it's asking at first, then it gets more insistent. And then when they drop the Kryn device, the Kryn key into the thing, it says, thank you for identifying yourself. And then it said something like, no drinks in the main lobby or something like that. And I'm like,
yeah, no food or drinks in the main lobby.
I didn't. Yeah, no. I'm like, oh, okay. It was just kind of funny, something you would hear on the airplane, I guess.
Yeah, or on a Disney ride.
Right.
Okay, and I love this cinematography. I love the light. I'm giving this an upvote. This whole station's really awesome.
I've got a few upvotes coming here myself.
Yeah, but I wanted to get out the general look of the station is really rad. All right, what is this? You want to just go through these crazy Easter eggs?
I don't know what that one is. There was a couple that I could not see because they were out of focus. And I tried desperately to get a couple of answers, so we can stop them and take a look. But go ahead and hit up the first one here. So they're going around Daystrom, and there's things, obviously. So this is interesting. So I'm like, wait a second. Didn't the Genesis device get, exploded?
Right.
And create a planet? And then you're like, oh, it says Genesis 2. So who wouldn't be surprised that, Section 31 has a second Genesis device laying around somewhere, which is cool. A really nice throwback to the Wrath of Khan, to the TOS movies, which, if you're watching this season, obviously there's a lot of inspiration pulled from the TOS movies in the way this show is made. So I thought that was really cool.
And another upvote from me.
Upvote, yeah, I want an upvote on every one of these. Yeah. So
let me get you the next. Let's get to the next one.
And anybody who says this is fan service, all I will simply say to you is, F yeah, it's fan service.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
And if you tell me that you didn't want it, you are full of shit. If you're a true Star Trek fan and you're now, the people who complain about things like this, the people who complain about things like this are people who didn't experience it the first time and don't give a shit.
Right.
Those are the people who complain. And anybody who watched Wrath of Khan and Star Trek 3, and listen, Spock died because Khan set off that device, right? And then Spock's reborn. I mean, it's an incredibly important part of Star Trek. So if you don't like that, then I'm not sure what to tell you. You're watching the wrong show.
Yeah. Some fan service is good sometimes, guys, and this is great.
Yeah.
All right. Now, next up vote is the remains, some kind of biosigns, I guess.
You didn't upvote mine.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, you're right.
Because we were tied.
So this is James T. Kirk.
That's his body.
Is his body?
Yeah.
There's some kind of like skeleton. Yeah. I mean, there's more than the skeleton there. We're seeing the skeleton, but there's also like nervous system. Like there's something going on here.
No, I don't see that. Where'd you see that?
Yeah, you see like there's more than just a skeleton in here. You can see like it looks like an X-ray.
Oh, well, I mean, well, that doesn't mean he's alive or anything. No, I think it's just his body.
Oh, but it could be his body, not just his skeleton. Why would they just be holding onto a skeleton?
Well, I mean, DNA, whatever. This is his last resting place, obviously.
Is it though? What if?
Are we watching the same show here? What are we talking about?
What if? What if there's a clone of Kirk?
No, stop. Okay, we're not doing this. Okay. This is Kirk's body.
Come on, guys.
Stop. It's not a clone of Kirk.
We can get a young Kirk and a young Picard, aka Jack Crusher, in the 25th century.
No, they're already trying to do the Paul Wesley.
But
Kirk,
wouldn't it be cool to have like Kirk's son and Picard's son traveling the stars together, getting in adventures?
I'm happy with what we've got right now. We don't need to create any more offspring. But so this is great. I mean, as we recall in Star Trek Generations, Kirk dies under a bridge, and the line has always been, it's pretty sad that he died under a bridge instead of on a bridge, right?
Right. Yeah. I love Terry's just like a quick little toss. I'm just gonna sort of retroactively fix where he's buried in the universe. I love this super chat from Foxhound. If Terry brings Kirk back, he becomes a god. Right?
I mean, it's funny, it's like there is a danger. I mean, you're right. As like a fan, it would be fantastic to like have, that's like my dreams, but the reality is too much of that and it starts to turn the show backwards. So,
yeah,
still upset that we haven't gotten a William Shatner thing. He hasn't been in Trek in so long. It's really
they should have given him one last ride. In my opinion,
Kirk's body. At least we get Kirk.
Yeah. Oh, what about this? Another upvote.
I need an upvote for the Kirk's body.
Yeah.
Oh, now there was. Can you pause it on the one where Worf? It comes out the one that I sent you the screenshot.
Oh yeah, let me find that one real quick.
Because in between, after Kirk's body, there's a shot that we see, a very quick shot, and you can't read what it is on the screen. And maybe the people here in chat will be able to like recognize it.
Yeah.
Because we spent a good amount of time trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah, it goes by so quickly.
It's so fast. You have to catch it essentially like as soon as the frame begins.
Right.
Because it goes into, he goes from focus on the backdrop to focus on Worf really quickly. Archmage, look at here, he's got it. The vinculum is the processing device at the core of every Borg vessel.
Interesting.
Which brings order to chaos. It interconnects the minds of all. Thank you, Archmage. Good job. It connects the minds of all the drones. It purges individual thoughts and disseminates information relevant to the collective. I can't tell you. I looked up Borg V everywhere. I could not figure it out.
Interesting.
So that's interesting. And if you look at the images on StarTrek.com, it does show that. Yeah. So that's cool. Good catch.
Yeah, good job. And don't forget the genetically modified attack tribbles.
Yeah, so you see this, the cuddly tribble, you're like genetically modified tribble, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow. So just a nice Roddenberry for us.
It's a Roddenberry.
Of course, the joke is Riker's like, oh, Worf, you're not going to be afraid of a little tribble, are you?
It's awesome.
It was a good moment.
Yeah, the whole thing. The mighty Klingon taken aback by the even mightier Tribble.
It's funny. They have this little moment right after this. It's like, he's like, because Worf didn't like push back at all, you know? And Riker's like, come on, you used to push back.
Yeah, it's great.
What happened to you?
I see that you still find comfort and humor. And humor in other people's discomfort. I used to poke back. What happened? I love this. Again, it's like two old friends that 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 just instantly reconnect. It's really fantastic watching. And Raffi, this is her best episode so far, and her like sort of like pleasant refereeing between the old friends was sort of works.
Yeah, I think so.
So the security system obviously knows who Riker is because it has an old shot of young Riker, aka from the Nemesis period. So
yeah, it's interesting. You're kind of looking at, you're not sure what's going on here, but the recognition is definitely there.
So it recognizes Riker, and it's generating a security response specifically for Riker.
I think so. It was really hard to determine what that was. They tried to explain it, and I think what the ultimate explanation is that it was trying to reach out, which is why the holographic crow shows up. It wasn't trying to harm them; it was trying to reach out to them.
Well, I think it was specifically a security response for Riker, so that only Riker could then, I guess the right word would be defeat the security, to get past the security, so that it's specific to Riker, not Worf, not Raffi, Riker specifically, and that's why it shows this picture and it says generating security response, which I like. I had texts this morning from people like, "Oh my god, Data's is the AI genius." So I'm like, I know, it's good, very good.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm collecting some receipts this morning. I want everyone to know that because I'm getting texts from people that are telling me that we were right, and it's very nice. It's very nice, very nice.
Well, we should be right. I don't. There's no reason why we wouldn't be right.
But there were people on the fence for a long time. Even though we had 5 good episodes, it was like it took this episode before they were like,
"Really?
I'm all in. This is awesome." Yeah.
It took them this long to go all in, huh? Oh, wow.
It's wild. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about his age. Some people are complaining online about his age. You have a problem with this?
Oh, I mean, you guys know the actor's old, right? Like really old.
Yeah, guys.
I mean, listen, there's only so much we can do here, I know, the funny thing about fandom is, it's so funny how you can feel about something when you're not responsible for any of the cost involved with creating it.
Right.
Which makes it very, very interesting. But, the funny thing about Moriarty is that, he's not in it for very long. And I'm very curious to see how people respond to the fact that, he's kind of here. He's kind of being used as like the security thing for Data. And, and of course, Riker has to defeat it by doing the Pop Goes the Weasel song.
Yeah.
But that's it. So I think there was a lot of people who thought, oh my God, Moriarty might be the big bad villain of the season. And some people are saying, well, he was wasted in the preview clip because he wasn't here very long. Well, what I can say to you guys is that sometimes things are given to us as a misdirection.
Right.
Sometimes they are trying to get us off the scent of what they're really trying to do. And a lot of the using this character in the previews was to get people talking about the show and the possibilities of who could be the villain. But it was never intended for him to. He only filmed for 1 or 2 days. And, what's interesting is we found out really early on because he did this video. The cameo things where you can hire an actor.
Right.
We can talk about this now. We tried not to put too much light on it back in the day because it really hurt the production. But he did a cameo for somebody who hired him, and he basically gave away everything almost about the character in the show. He said he only filmed for a day, right? He said that this isn't the Moriarty from the show. I mean, he basically gives it all away. And then he even mentions the Pop Goes the Weasel in the cameo, and we're like, oh my gosh.
In the cameo. Yeah.
This is not great that he's doing this. And luckily not many people ever saw it. So you didn't get surprised.
Yeah, it was funny. Like, we took the cameo and we had it in one of our videos, and someone was like, hey, that cameo had like 800 views until you put it in your video. Can you please cut it out? Oh yeah, my bad. We were really amplifying the message, that's for sure.
Yes, we unfortunately were part of the problem. But the cool thing is that, why bring him back? Well, frankly speaking, Terry Matalas, the showrunner, wanted him back. That's why he's back.
Yeah.
And he's great. He's a great connection to Data, and it's really nice for us to get to see him. So
yeah, and we're gonna get to the Pop Goes the Weasel stuff here pretty soon. It hasn't happened yet, but I do want to discuss as to why that's so brilliant when we get to that point.
Cool.
All right, and the
money shot.
The money shot. The Fleet Museum.
The money shot. I mean, look, I could just stay here all day long, just right here. Upvote. Just give me 2 upvotes.
Yeah, I'll take 2 upvotes too. Can I just can we just stay here for a minute? Let's just have a moment. That's right.
I mean,
it's a hell of a thing, isn't it?
There's something about Star Trek where you just, we've lived all these stories. We've seen these ships, and to have them all here as part of a museum is just brilliant. I mean, huge shout out to Terry, to Dave Blast, the VFX team, to everybody who came up with the idea of doing this. This is such a treat. Knowing that all of our great vessels are still here going into the 25th century and are being cared for and loved by, Commodore LaForge. I mean, it's comforting to know where these things are and where they stand.
Yeah. To me, this is like saying, we hear you, fans. There's us creatives out here that still that are trying to protect what you love. We're not just blowing them up for fun.
This is canon. Like, the thing is you never knew what happened to all the vessels. Not really. Like, they were decommissioned. What happened? Nobody knew.
Right.
Now we know.
Yeah, now we know.
This is brilliant. This is beautiful.
Brilliant.
I mean, this is a love letter to Star Trek.
And what an impactful way, like, what a way to make an impact on canon. Like, you know what? We're just gonna throw it. All these ships exist. They're all good here. Like, deal with it, future writers.
That's fantastic, and it's going to play to future writers and make it easier for them.
Right. We got a super chat from Colin, Christopher Mays. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Christopher. I want to know if we will see a Calm Meanie appearance. O'Brien may have 99 problems, but a changelings and transporters ain't one.
Well, I'll tell you this. We can't say, of course, who's going to still show up in the last 4 episodes of the show. But I will say that on my list of people is definitely Cole Meany. I would, if I was like going to bring people back, that'd be one of the people I'd want to bring back too.
Yeah, I saw him in the season or series, I guess, finale. I forgot exactly, but season finale for sure of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he plays Charlie's dad in Ireland or whatever, or Scotland or whatever he's from. And he was so great. Like, just so the actor himself, he's done roles outside Star Trek where he plays like a gangster and stuff, and it's always so good. Because, like, yes, we grew up with him being Miles O'Brien, but then he has like this really dark side in these like gangster movies. It's really awesome. It's really awesome.
It's great. So yeah, I mean, I guess we should talk about some of the ships that are there, right?
Yeah.
Real quick, here. So we got a whole list. We spent some time. It's so funny, Brian and I. We have the version that we were looking at when we did this. We have screeners.
We have screeners, and they're really bad quality, dude.
The screener quality is not great.
They're like 480p, like 21 FPS. They're rough.
So we're like slowing it down, trying to we're trying to like figure out, we're like looking at nacelles, we're like, oh, we couldn't tell for a lot of them. But just to go through some of these here, we do have we got the original Enterprise NCC 1701. We got the USS Voyager, right? We've got USS Defiant. We got the HMS Bounty, which is the Klingon vessel that we went back to 1984 with Kirk and saved whales.
There's this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the Bounty. There's the Voyager.
Got the NX-01 there.
Oh, that's awesome. And the NX-01 that means it was like, dude, the NX-01 it's in the 25th century.
Right.
How awesome is that? Like, oh my God, dude, I don't understand how people, I think if you ever weren't watching Trek as long as maybe we were, or a lot of us here, then it's a big deal to bring this ship into the 21st century. There's so many stories that can be told now. Like, it's so rad that ship is still here.
Right.
Sorry, Go ahead.
Well, no, it's good. We also have the Enterprises A, B, and C. We've got a Romulan bird of prey. We've got a Klingon battle cruiser, the USS New Jersey, NCC 1975, and more. So, if you get a chance to go through and look at all your favorite ships, they're there. And I'm sure that some of our favorite Trek channels will be detailingly zooming in as much as they can and going through each one of these that are getting there.
Yeah, we have friends that are going to be going through this frame by frame and like recreating parts of the frame that don't exist. Right. All right. I love this. And Geordi LaForge, everybody. For everyone saying last week, what's up, man? We're on episode 5. Where's Geordi at? Huh? Where's he at? Why haven't we seen Geordi and Data? We are 5 episodes in. There's only 10 episodes, and we haven't seen Geordi and Data. I'm sitting. This was me the entire time. Like, oh God, oh God. I was on these streams, and I'm having such a hard time because I just want to be like, just wait 3 days. 3 days.
Well, it's funny. You got to remember, you got to bring the characters in a way that makes sense. Like, you can't really just bring them all in the beginning. They're off doing their own things. You want to give everybody the time that they deserve. You want to give them a purpose on the show. So, I mean, you really have to bring them in as it makes sense. And I think the way that they've brought the characters back is really just perfect. I mean, getting us to the Fleet Museum, seeing a version of Geordi that we don't know this version of Geordi. This is family man Geordi LaForge. And we find out very quickly that his priority is his family and not necessarily his old friends.
Right. Which, quite frankly, as much as I love all of you, and I'm personal friends with some of you, my family comes first. My kids come first, right? Mm-hmm. It's like my old friends from high school, college, the military, whatever, I care for them. I care for their well-being. But like when it comes down to it, the reason I've probably lost contact with some of my friends over the years is because I now have a family that I'm taking care of, and they have their own family. They have their own problems, and like I worry about them to that regard. But I'm certainly more worried about my and perfect setup here. I have 2 daughters. Geordi's 2 daughters. Same setup. Like I understand that. Yeah, you still love Jean-Luc Picard, but like these are your kids. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And there is, and you'll notice as we go through here, there is some conflict because Geordi wants to help Picard. He wants to help his old captain.
Right.
He cares for his friends. You get a nice moment here where you can tell Geordi's like not happy. Like things are not, he's not happy that they're here. But yet he has this moment where, he hugs Beverly and like he warms up, he kind of melts a little bit in that moment. And then he gives the most curt, short reply to his daughter, Sydney. Sydney. And it was like, oh, dang.
Speaking of that, Foxhound, super chat, thank you, Foxhound. 100% shipping LaCrush. Yes. Yes, please. I'll take that to the bank. Sydney is awesome. I'm loving that character so much.
Yeah, she's great.
And now, on screen right now, we actually have Geordi LaForge's real-life daughter.
Yep, Mika. Mm-hmm.
Mika, not LaForge. Sorry, what's his
Nick
name?
Burton.
Burton. My God, what's wrong with me? LeVar Burton.
I know it's tough. LeVar is Geordi.
Yeah, there's so I grew up watching Star Trek, but I also watched Reading Rainbow, and I watched Roots as well in school. So like, this guy was more than just, when I was young, more than just Geordi the Forge, but over the time he became Geordi the Forge to me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's his real life daughter, Mika Burton.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. The whole way the story goes down is, his daughter was interested in acting, and he was interested in Geordi. One of the big crimes of Star Trek, of TNG, was that engineers never seemed to have families. And specifically Geordi was never allowed to really even have a love interest. You had the love interest that he had, where it was like really weirdly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Like,
remember the hologram? And then like,
yeah,
there's this blooper where he's trying to get love advice from Guinan. And it's the best thing.
Yeah.
Because Whoopi Goldberg is like, have you tried fucking the hologram? And the camera says, what?
Well,
have you tried fucking it?
I'll tell you what's funny. He has that episode where like he's with Brahms and they have this whole like, romance thing, but then she actually shows up on the ship and she's totally different, which I thought was actually really clever, but it makes Geordi look really bad.
Yeah, it makes him look like a hyper simp.
Right. It really is not cool. And what's funny about that character was supposed to be a great, granddaughter of Richard Daystrom. So when that Leah Brahms character was originally created, that was supposed to be a Daystrom ancestor.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about Daystrom Station. Daystrom,
that would have been cool.
Right. But the reason they didn't do that was they had already hired the actress and she was white.
Oh.
And Richard Daystrom was black.
Oh, man.
So they couldn't do that.
Damn. They should have made her like a mix or something.
I mean, they probably could have still done it, but, we weren't that advanced at the time.
That would have been really great canonically, though.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I always felt like the Daystrom Institute wasn't, like, it's being used in this season, but quite frankly, it wasn't used, like, as much as it could have been used in all the series of Trek.
Well, and when you think about the original Richard Daystrom, like, he doesn't come across really great in that episode of TOS.
Right.
Like, he's harboring, he loves his invention so much that he doesn't want to recognize its faults.
Right, yeah, you're right. But the whole Daystrom Institute could have been used more. Like there could be there could have been a series called Daystrom where where they just dealt with almost like Star Trek's Area 51.
Right. Yeah.
All right. You notice how Ed Speleers is crazy tall.
Is he?
Bro, like he's standing next to Patrick Stewart, Jerry Ryan, LeVar Burton. He's the tallest person in the room.
But they're all short, bro.
Wait, Jerry Ryan's not that short.
I mean, she's not tall. And she's also in the background.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. But, those guys are short.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
He's a monster at 5'9".
He's a monster. 6'1". I went to get fitted for my tux. I'm the best man at a wedding this weekend. And I told the guy, I thought the wedding was like a month from now. So I'm telling like the person that's fitting me, I'm like, listen, just bring in the measurements by like half an inch. I don't want to look fat. And the guy's like, well, it's not going to fit you then. I'm like, no, I'll lose weight by then. He goes, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'll be able to lose enough weight to fit into a half an inch. And he's like, sir, are you positive you want to do that? I'm like, yeah. And then I was sort of a dick. 'Cause I'm like, I don't understand. Why are you questioning me? Are you like saying I can't lose weight? And he's like, no, whatever you want to do, man. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just about 6 foot, right? I'm 6 foot if I like stand up real like this, And he takes in my suit or my tuck's whatever, half an inch. And so it's tight, whatever. I'm like, I have a month, I'll lose weight. And then I leave, and like, I get a text on the way when I'm leaving. It's like, don't forget you have dress rehearsal this Saturday. I'm like, why are we doing dress rehearsal? It's in May. He goes, it's this Sunday, bro. And I'm like, no. And I'm going, the guy's gone, and he won't return my call. It's been 3 days. I know. I'm going to be saying this is going to be fat guy in a little coat.
All of your buttons are going to be missile hazards.
Bro, I'm stressing out right now. I don't know why I even got on that, but like,
it just bled through our show. You're like,
my
I have to
bad.
share what's happening to
the
me.
second you say he was like 6 foot, I'm like, that reminded me of that moment.
Yeah.
And now I'm stressing because this weekend I'm going to be like this little this giant fat guy. And everyone in the wedding, everyone is a bunch of skinny, like, Orange County types. I'm like, oh, God.
Embrace it, brother.
I'm the one guy that's going to be like, giant fat guy.
This has been Brian's insecurity.
Sorry, guys.
And
my bad.
And we'll be back with you in a minute with some Star Trek.
Back to Star Trek.
Picard here wants him to basically clone their transponder so that they can trick Starfleet into like leaving Daystrom Station so they can go in and rescue their away team.
Whatever. Geordi's daughter steps up and he goes, look, despite my father's many objections, and she explains that the ships are all connected now. Like they're all networked together.
Talk to each other.
Right. It's almost like it's like a cloud for the ships.
Yes.
Right.
Or like a collective. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
It's like a collective of ships.
Yeah.
So they're in the cloud now. So all the ships are connected via the Apple Cloud. And
The Apple Cloud.
And so he can't just clone the transponder because the Titan itself is the beacon now.
Yes, that's it. So if the Titan gets too close to another ship, then they'll immediately pick it up.
Right.
Which is how they're tracking him now.
Right. Now we're back on Daystrom, and Moriarty is hunting them. I love this actor so much. It makes me realize that I think society slept on this guy's ability to act for a long time. Because
listen, he was great in Fran Drescher's
The Nanny.
The Nanny. He was fantastic in that.
Like
show.
that's the biggest thing he did after Star Trek was The Nanny. What are we doing? What? What?
I mean, he did some other stuff, but that was it.
All I know is that we have actors, these teenage heartthrobs. Like Lance Bass has had more acting gigs than this man.
Daniel Davis? No, I don't think so. He did a lot of stuff. You just don't recognize him.
Such pathetic old warriors. I mean, the guy just delivers, dude. All right, so this is when they're doing the tune, right? It's the pop goes the weasel, and from the very first episode where Riker meets Data on the holodeck, and he walks up behind Data and he finishes the tune.
That's because Data can't whistle. Yeah,
I can't whistle for crap, but he finishes the tune, and that is when it hits him. He remembers. And talk about full circle. We talked about this. The space babies. What do they look like? They look like the creatures from the first episode of TNG. They look like little baby versions of the space squids, right? And now we are again full circle. And he finishes the song to defeat the security thing.
Yeah, it's such a great little Roddenberry. It's such a great way of, anytime you write a great story, you want to circle back to the beginning, especially when you're completing something. And this is a completion of TNG. So it's important that you have a tie back to your beginning. And they've done it multiple times in the episode. And we realize this is leading us to Data.
And then this little quick foreshadowing where he talks about another friend who dreamt of crows, referring to Data.
And if you can upvote this whole thing for me, because
Same here. And by the way, Sean, I'm not crapping on Lance Bass. He's not bad. I'm just saying he's not an actor.
I'll crap on Lance Bass.
Why is he in so much stuff, dude? I don't get it.
Is he like a Backstreet Boy or something like
He's
that?
He's a Backstreet Boy or something. He's in so many TV shows. It's unbelievable. Like I saw him again last night. I'm like, how is this guy gets acting job after acting job? Anyways, all right.
Who's the boy singer from that was doing all the stuff with Justin Timberlake?
Justin Timberlake. Well, he's
like I like watching Justin Timberlake and stuff.
Yeah, so I think he's actually a pretty good actor.
Oh, yeah, I like him.
Justin Timberlake is not only is he a dreamboat, okay, but he's a pretty good actor. There was this he was in this show, I think it was called or the movie was called War Dogs, I think. Oh my god, I can't remember exactly, but he was in this movie alongside a couple other like up and comers, and it was about like these gangsters, and there was a heist film. It was really, really well done. I remember watching the thing like, oh, it's Justin Timberlake, who cares? And then I watched the movie, I'm like, damn, Justin Timberlake can act. It's maybe the bar is really low because it's Justin Timberlake.
Maybe, yeah.
Like if he just pulls off a couple scenes that are like remotely, reasonably convincing, I'm like, oh wow, Daniel, you know. I don't know, maybe. All I'm saying is, Moriarty, 1 page on IMDb. Lance Bass, 16 pages. What the F?
I don't think so. I'm gonna check you.
Look it up, bro. Look it up. He was on this week's episode of The Rookie. You're right, Sean. Yes. The Lance Bass was on this week's. Thank you for that button. That little period on my point here. He's literally acting right now.
No, he's got lots. He's got 58. He's got 58 roles. That's pretty darn good. I mean, he's been in recently New Amsterdam, Elementary, The Blacklist.
I love how Moriarty was in Elementary, which is a Sherlock Holmes remake.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
All right. I'll stop complaining about it.
All right.
I mean, I can complain about Michael Dorn, too. Michael Dorn doesn't get enough acting gigs.
He chose voice acting.
Well, that makes sense, though. That voice can cut through butter.
Yeah.
And the big reveal.
There he is, Brent Spiner, Data.
As we wander into the Daystrom chamber, we see an aged Dr. Soon type android. Is it Data? Is it before? Is it lore? Is it something new? We do not know. What we do know is that he is the AI that is securing the station, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, upvote 100%. So we got to get a vote here. We got and they do a good job of explaining things. Like they have a whole video section with Alton Soong. He dies before he's able to finish his project. Because there's a little bit of Soong in this too. And I think Soong is the human element, because this character has more humanity.
Yes.
Than the other androids previously. So it's going to be a compilation going forward. But I'm just looking at him as Data. That's kind of how I want to see him. Data. And, that's probably how we should embrace him.
And aging Data. Because that's going to come up. Look, I like the fact that they built in the aging to this robot instead of ignoring that fact that the actor is clearly much, much older than he was 30 years ago, or trying to de-age them, which we've seen how that doesn't really work, It
doesn't work well at all.
So building in the aging to this, the same way Picard's body ages. By the way, I know they said that they made, Picard's robot body age so that they can keep working with the actor. How much older do you think he's going to look? I'm just saying. You didn't have to.
It was a dumb idea all around.
Yeah, it was a dumb idea. You didn't have to build that in. He's not going to look any older in 10 years. He's going to look the same. All I'm saying is, like, this was a good idea to explain in canon why Data is Data, and no more of that de-aging crap. It just doesn't work.
Right.
If Marvel with Marvel's Disney budget can barely pull it off, I don't expect you guys to do much better.
Well said.
Although TikTok is pulling it off for free, so I don't know.
I don't know about that.
It's true. My wife had this filter the other day that was like, look at what it looked like when I was 16, and look like her when she was 16. It was wild.
Oh, that's wild.
Crazy. I was like, snap that picture and send it to me.
That's the Chinese government at work, baby.
They're doing great. Well, enjoy what you can, guys. It's gonna be banned in a couple months. All right. You know what's funny? So we went through this whole thing. Oh, we'll get to that point. All right. We're at the point where Geordi is talking to Picard, and I don't know. He's sort of reprimanding him, right? So someone said, he was sort of a dick this episode. Well, you got to understand that how long it's been, and how Picard strolls in and is asking him to put his family in danger and to sacrifice his career and his daughter's careers. Well, all like with very little information, Well,
he previously believed that he was putting Sydney's life in danger already.
Mm-hmm.
So because he doesn't know the story, he doesn't know exactly what's going on. He is not aware of the changeling problem yet.
Right. He's not even aware of it. Right. And so he's sort of giving them the business, It's always life or death.
It's always life or death. Yeah.
So it's always something with you. You're always saving the universe, huh? You psychopath. I'm kidding.
Well, no, and he's conflicted because he does register with that. I mean, he put his own life on the line with him for years.
Right.
And what we're recognizing here, and this is what's great about Picard season 3, is this is the evolution of the characters. If we had come to this moment and Geordi simply jumped on the Titan and ran down to engineering and started like being the engineer, it wouldn't have rang true. What has happened to him in the last 20 years? Well, guess what? He's gotten kids. He's got a wife. He's got a life where he's got a cushy job. He's at the museum, fixing up old ships. He's chilling. He's retired.
Dude,
pretty much.
What a job for an old engineer, right?
Right,
bro, you got the job at the Fleet Museum. You just get to tinker and fix up old ships. Like, I'm sorry, that's like talk about a grease monkey's dream job.
Right. And so now he's got one daughter who wants to be in the thick of it. Right. And then he's got another daughter, but his family is his priority, but he's conflicted. He has two families. It's obvious he still loves Picard and the TNG crew, but he's conflicted here. And it just shows really great emotional growth and development. And I was really glad to see that they didn't just, give us the old Geordi back. That's not what we wanted. And it's not what they did with all the characters. It's not what LeVar Burton wanted.
Right.
LeVar wanted some growth and development for his character. And he is extraordinarily grateful, to Terry for making this happen this way.
Yes.
So well done.
Yeah. What you just said is 100% on spot on. What Joey said here in the chat, the evolution of his character, he's a father. When I was in the military, I took a ton of risks. I think you did too, Shane, right? Mm-hmm. When we were younger and we didn't have kids, we were in the military, we took risks with our body, with our mind, with our, psyche. We made decisions that were solely based on our well-being or lack thereof. Like, I didn't even care about my well-being. I just, like, whatever the best decision I felt for that exact moment, not for the future, was. But the second I got married and I had kids, like, now I have to consider 10 years and 20 years from now. And I can't live the way I lived when I was 23 and in the Army. Geordi can't live the way he lived when he was in his 20s and, on an engineer of the Enterprise D.
Well said.
Okay. So
yeah, upvote that, please, for me.
Yes. Now we get the sisters talking.
First, look at the sisters LaForge, and it comes with a little splash of Jack, right? No, Jack isn't in the scene, right? Oh, that's right. He says. She says basically she's complaining about her dad. She's like, I'm so sorry, I'll talk to him.
A splash of Jack.
The splash of Jack is coming, by the way.
Oh, hello, ladies.
That moment is coming. Believe it or not. Listen, Jack's a ladies' man, we're about to learn.
Oh, hello, ladies.
But before that happens, we have basically the one sister tells the other sister, I'm sorry, I'll talk to him. So they both recognize that their father's a little bit overly possessive.
There's a little bit of falling out. There's not a little bit of falling out between Sydney and Geordi.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a nice moment here. So I
He
love
sits
this
in
moment.
the captain's chair.
Right? You look at his face, right? He's like, yeah,
It's like, nope. I'm just gonna try it out.
yeah, not yet, Junior. Not yet.
You know what I love about this? If this was, and I'm not harping on on previous seasons of Trek, but like, I feel like in previous seasons of Trek, like they would have just sat in the captain's chair.
Right. Yes.
It wouldn't have been.
There's no reverence.
Right. It wouldn't have been an issue. You know, they would have just sat down and started having a conversation, and we would have been on here on a Saturday like, why is he just sitting in the captain's chair?
Right.
We would have been losing our minds over this scene that the writers didn't even see was a big a deal. You know,
Right.
It's just a chair. What's the problem?
What's the problem? Somebody's got to sit somewhere on here.
We got a super chat from Andre Benson. This on Gary's review. I'm convinced season 1 and 2 was an alternate timeline. I lost it when the TOS New Jersey and refitted Enterprise appears. I know.
We feel you, Andre.
What if those two seasons were? It was like an offshoot timeline of the Jaborgi timeline. What if what we're seeing right now is like that this time, like completely devoid of the Jaborgi?
It can't be. It would be great, but the problem is we got the Borg. We got Picard's body. We've got Raffi's story. We know
that there was like 3 or 4 timelines going on, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like season 1 of Picard is what it was, but season 2 was different.
Right. What if that was a completely different, like, parallel timeline that was, like, wiped out, and now we're here in the present?
Listen, personally, I just wish this was the first season of Picard. Now, I understand, like, you can't go back and, like, change that, and it's happened, and everybody's got to tell their little story. And I'm grateful that we at least got this. I mean, this may have never happened, but how cool would it be if, like, this was the first season and we had, like, 2 more coming?
Oh God! Oh.
Right? Imagine that. Like this is season 1, and oh my God, we're gonna get 2 more of these.
That'd be so good. That'd be so good. Oh man,
that's what nobody's considering about this show.
Like,
like that.
No one's considering that this is the final season.
Yeah.
4 more episodes. It's depressing.
It is.
Really. I'm getting depressed considering.
We're here to celebrate, but yes.
Now, so previously in the video, we were like scanning frame by frame and zooming in, and then we get to this point where Jack just points out all the ships.
We're like, oh, look, there they are.
One at a time.
Like we're sitting here trying to like zoom in and focus initially, and like,
bro, I'm trying to use AI to like rebuild pixels.
So we get this nice, really great close-up look of, we learn that Jack's a Constitution man, and frankly speaking, I am too. So that's great. But we get to a special ship here.
You like them large and leggy.
I like them round,
round and leggy, long legs and round, rotund shape,
and round saucers, baby. Give me a round saucer any day.
All right. I'm going to clip to this real quick so I can go to the different ships.
Yeah, we just get a really great moment here. I think
the Voyager.
This is the one, we get a little bit of the Voyager theme song here. I'm really so glad they did that.
So good. The use of music in this show. Start Disney, please take note. For the love of God, if you have all this iconic music and you own the franchise, use the music that invokes the emotions from fans. The Mandalorian not using Star Wars music to me is offensive. It's offensive. In this series, we hear everything from TOS to Voyager to First Contact. We hear all kinds of interweaving and the emotions that come out of me when these moments play are like outstanding. Like every single time when those themes hit, I'm like, oh, it's shot in my heart every time, dude. Sorry to cut you off.
It's true. So I think Brian likes the music, and that's a good thing. He's like, oh, it does this. Yeah. Whoa.
Music is so important to a story.
You're right.
Look,
Steven Spielberg said half of his success is John Williams.
Right. Look, I have every one of these episodes with just dialogue. No music, no undertone, just dialogue and sound effects. One of these days I'm going to play you a clip where it's just the dialogue and then the dialogue with the music, and it's completely different. Yeah. It's the same scene, but the addition of music is what gives it the emotion.
Yeah, no, that's why we have music in movies. No, you're right. So, anyways, we get to the Voyager, which is great. Knowing the Voyager is here gives me comfort. I mean, I don't know how to tell you that, but seeing Seven there and talking about how this is like where she was really born or reborn, and she has a kind of an emotional moment here, and the reflection that we all get to have as fans, and for Voyager fans, this is a really special moment for us. And I really, really enjoyed it. Please upvote it for me as a big Voyager fan.
Yeah, and by the way, that means that in that ship is the Doctor.
We don't know that. Because remember, he was off the ship when they came back, remember?
That's true.
So at the end, he was, he's got his little mobile emitter. And
yeah, I just want to believe that if we stepped foot on that ship, like it's the same corridors, it's the same bridge. The Doctor is like, what's the nature of the medical emergency,
right?
Like it just brings back so many feels for me.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's just I'm getting a little upset about it right now. All right.
It's not supposed to make you upset. It's supposed to make you happy.
It's wonderful. Thank you, Terry. God damn it, thank you. When we were doing Terry's interview, I was getting a little like choked up a little bit when we were like talking to him about all these different parts, stuff we can't even share yet. Because I'm like, he brought things back and he expanded on things that we never thought we would see again, like ever again. And it's like, it's so profound to someone who grew up with this. It's like seeing, the color blue. It's like loving the color blue and you haven't seen blue for 30 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden someone's like, here, you want some blue? And you're like, oh,
Your reactions are on point today, bro.
I'm sorry.
You're like Jack Tripper in Three's Company. You're all over the place.
Yeah, so I switched from Red Bull to Celsius. That's what's going on.
Yeah, that's good. It's working for you.
Celsius is, I think it might be worse for me than Red Bull.
It's having abnormal effects here.
If I have, if one day I just have a heart attack, you guys know what happened. Like, there's no mystery here.
Right? At first, we'll think you're joking for at least the first minute.
The 5 minutes, I'm just like this.
I'll be sitting here going,
okay, man, joke's over. Joke's over.
The stream wouldn't end. You know what's crazy is if it happened, like the stream wouldn't end.
It would just be like
you would just sit there, and there's no way for me to stop it.
It would just be me on stream for 6 hours.
While I'm like driving to your house.
You're driving from Oxford.
like 3 hours away.
And the light outside my studio would be on, so my family wouldn't even come in.
They wouldn't come bother you.
They'd be like, I have burned it into their brains that if the light's on, they don't come in. They would, no one would bother me. I would just be here dead for like 9 hours.
I'd get there in 3, so we'd be okay.
Yeah, all right.
Well, we wouldn't be okay, but anyways, what's the nature of the medical emergency? Yes, go ahead.
Right. This moment with Seven was really good. She was my home.
She was my home. Yep.
And now she's trying to find another. It's just really good.
And it's nice to see. I got to tell you, it's nice to see Seven smile. She doesn't do it very often, which is good because her character isn't built that way. But it is nice to see it in relation to Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
It's really perfectly well timed. Well done by the actress. Just was nice.
Jeremy said, Brian, just do math. It's cheaper than Red Bull.
Don't give him any ideas. He's looking to lose weight, guys, really quick. So.
Jeremy's a trucker. He probably knows about all the best spots for math.
That's messed up.
Sorry. All right. Now we get, and Shaq says, what's that one? This is great. Klingon bird of prey. I'm going to clip to that. I'm going to go to that frame exactly.
Yeah, because I have nothing else to say about this stuff. So, yeah, that's good. Anyways, essentially, he remembers the cloaking device.
Right.
And that's what the important does. So everybody's like, "Oh, fan service again! Ooh, boo!" Right? Of course, those are the people who don't care.
Is it fan service, Shane?
It's not fan service. Well, it is fan service, but fan service with a point, because the cloaking device is important to the story.
Right. And this is what I was talking about. I believe in the first couple episodes, I kept saying like everything's hyperlinked, right? Yeah. Now there are some things that are just straight up Roddenberry's, right? Okay, I'm sure. Yeah. Kirk's, body is probably not hyperlinked anyway.
No.
Some of this stuff, Moriarty coming back, it's part of the story though. So like, yeah, it's a member berry. Moriarty is a member berry, a Roddenberry, whatever. But it actually fits into the story. It like there's a connection between the story and the member berry. The way you do fan service is by, and I hate the term fan service actually, because you're saying it's fan service to utilize 70 years worth of canon. That's not fan service. That's good writing.
Smart. It's smart is what it is, yeah.
It's smart. You should utilize 70 years worth of canon, for sure. Why wouldn't you?
Well, and what's the point of making something artistic? It's to create an emotional response. What's the best way to create an emotional response? With memories of things that gave you an emotional response. So and it's important. It's critical, in fact.
So if you can utilize things from the history of these shows and this canon in relation to the story, that's what makes it a Star Trek story. Like, just because you call something Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek, doesn't mean it's Star Trek if it has none of the things that make it Star Trek. Just because you put a Star Trek badge on, if the entire hierarchy of the ship is different, if the technology is different, if the way it works is different, the universe is completely different as a whole, just the logo and the name is not enough for it to actually be Star Trek. Part of it is involving using existing canon characters, stories, ideas that you bring forward and shape this grand epic universe.
Well said. Well said, sir.
Anyways, that's the Klingon Bird of Prey.
And on our left, we have...
please keep your hands and arms inside the car at all times. And we're moving on. All right, this is when he mentions the cloaking device. Right. So, I'm sorry. So the ship was at the bottom of the harbor?
Yep.
They
in San Francisco?
That is the ship from Star Trek 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it sunk in the San Francisco harbor.
Right.
And because its cloaking device was on, they couldn't find it for years.
Well done, right? Yeah. Isn't that great?
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like what?
Great story writing.
What more do you want here? Oh my God.
Beautiful.
Like it somehow decades later they add something that makes that story even a little better.
Even better. Right.
Wow, it's crazy. That's
the secret. Make stuff better. Making the past better.
And then it's connected. It's not just a one-off story because they're gonna need that. They're gonna need that cloaking device.
Correct.
200-watt Studio says, love the TOS design ships. No Discovery or Strange New World design in sight. Yeah, seemingly not.
You're right.
I think Strange New Worlds has some of the similar elements, right?
I mean, to some degree, but they're definitely, futurized.
Right.
This you see what Dave Blass has done and these guys have done with the ships. They feel like TOS movie ships. All of them do.
Yeah, they do. Okay, so back on Daystrom, he mentions that Data or whatever it is wasn't trying to hurt them. Right. And they go through the process of explaining how how they thought Data died twice. Super chat from T Stoney. Love the New Jersey Connie and now STD SNW revisionist BS. Anyone who has been watching since TNG would know that you can make the TOS classic designs look great in the modern day. Yes.
Amen. Yes, 100% true, and they proved it here.
Yeah, when they called it like the Neo Constitution class, I'm like, I mean, just call it the Constitution class, but this is like updated version. You know, I get it though.
That's what Neo means, though.
Yeah, I get it.
It's still the Constitution class. It's just upgraded.
Yeah, Kirk.
But yeah, I agree.
Sexy AF.
No, that's really a great comment that he has there, because, it's true. And they just prove that you could do it. Like, you don't need to, make everything look like Star Wars when you're making ships. You can really do what the classic Trek has done. And they did it really well in the show.
Yeah, they really did. All right, so Data did die twice. Let's explain how maybe you haven't been paying attention. So he died at the end of Nemesis, protecting Jean-Luc. He sacrificed himself for Picard. And but there was this little hint at the very end of the movie. So during the press of the movie, they found like this almost prototype version of Data. It was called B4, like the letter B, the number 4, right? And the bad guy had used it to lure in Picard. Long story short, Data rebuilds B4 and then eventually deactivates him, and then they reactivate him. He tries to copy his memories into B4 because he sees that B4's body is there, but his positronic brain is like more rudimentary, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to try to like improve B4's brain, right? His pathways or whatever with his more advanced brain. So he tries to copy himself, but it doesn't work because B4 is sort of rudimentary, but the data is still there. He just can't process it. And at the very end of Nemesis, we hear B4 singing Blue Skies, which was Data's song that he sang at the very beginning of the movie in the wedding.
Yep.
And it's funny because I did not like that movie, but I loved the beginning and I loved the end.
Right. The Data story arc. Yes.
Right. And, he sings Blue Skies. And so here we are. That's the first time he died. The second time he died was in Picard season 1. Where,
yeah, I mean, he didn't die twice. I mean,
I guess there was a copy of his pathways or whatever. That's what this was one of the criticisms we had in season 1. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Basically, Picard goes into like this like memory computer, and he's like talking to like this facsimile of Data, and Data's like, "I just want to die. Please pull my memory chip." And Picard.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, where did they get that from? Like, the fact that he was there. This is one of the problems with Picard season 1 is, how did Data get there? Like, how did his memories get into that device? I granted it's Alton Soong, but that doesn't mean he has Data's stuff. Data died in Nemesis. If anything, it's B4. And if they would have connected to that and said, but they didn't do that. Like, there was no connection to B4. It was like weird. So now this is like so in my mind, I know they just said he died twice, but Data really only died once.
Right, because the season 1 doesn't make any sense.
Right. That's the problem.
In order for my headcanon to work, I just have to skip those first 2 seasons because it doesn't. Nothing connects properly. It's like you ever fix a car and you're trying to like put the door panel back together and it just doesn't fit right. Or maybe you're a computer case and you replace the part and it's not fitting right. And you're like, why is this not fitting right? And it's because you have the wrong side of the case. You got to flip them around. You got to get the right side. This is the problem with 1 and 2 is like, it doesn't really fit. I know it has the right shape. It looks the same, has the same characters, but the story doesn't fit right. Nothing fits right into like the grand, a fabric of Star Trek. So yeah, for me too, like, all right, even if Nemesis wasn't a good movie, that was still Star Trek. That was the canon, right? It still worked. That's when he died. That means that his brain, his memories, all that's left of Data was left in B4. And from what we know about B4, we have a whole video on it. Go watch it on Prime.
Yeah, well said.
All right. But it could be him. I love that. So someone also said, so before the season started, like, why are they bringing back like Data? Isn't it obviously just fan service? I'm like, maybe.
Well, in this, but it's not though.
Right, but I mean, like, how do you have the final flight of the TNG crew here without Data?
No, 100. Yeah, you're right. So is it fan service to want to bring him back? Maybe, but the way they bring him back makes sense.
Right.
It works. And that's this, and I think that's what makes this, this season and writing room so special, is that they're able to figure out how to do it so that it doesn't seem like it's just given to us as, it's just topical. It actually has deep meaning.
Yeah. I love what Christopher says. Fans deserve a little service.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Especially haven't been getting much lately.
This is when Soon is explaining that he took all the bits of Data. I mean, you want to explain this? Law.
Yeah, it's law, Data, lore. We find out later there's a little bit of Soong in there. And of course, Data. And a lot of data, he says. And so I think it's key that he says that. He says, and a lot of data.
Right, which was the best of the group, right?
Right.
So this makes a lot of sense to me. I've always wondered why Soon kept making androids. And in my headcanon, he was cloning himself from like the times of like Enterprise, from like that first or I guess the first ancestor of him was, I guess, back in 2024, whatever. Ugh. But he kept cloning himself, trying to like live longer. And he realized you can only clone yourself for so long. And so he was trying to create like a golem that he can put his consciousness into and live forever. And
Right.
it makes a lot of sense that Dr. Soong was creating these robots in the, with the express goal of living forever, And he couldn't figure out in time. Another super chat from Christopher Mays. How do you have the last flight of the crew without Data? Me goes looks for Wesley.
Well, what's funny is
Who?
they did Wesley so dirty in season 2 by having the Traveler come back and completely ruin a piece of TOS canon, which I can't stand.
Ugh.
But the fact that they brought him in season 2, they ruined an opportunity, frankly. They could have brought him back in season 3 and done something cool with the Traveler that didn't ruin Star Trek canon, and was enveloped in this story in some way, even if he wasn't here for very long. That would have been actually pretty cool. But because they had him in season 2, they couldn't bring him back for season 3 because it wouldn't have made any sense.
Yeah. But plus, like, he's too OP at this point, right? He can solve problems by snapping his fingers, essentially.
Right.
You can't have these godlike characters like in a story, because then you can just solve any problem.
Well, how cool would it have been to have a scene in this show, in this series, that was difficult, that they were like dire, that he's able to kind of come in and do in a really cool way to save the crew, or to have something meaningful happen. Where his mom obviously his mom hasn't seen him, him to have a chance. It would have been actually pretty cool to be able to do it, but they just couldn't, because for absolutely zero reason whatsoever, they have him show up in season 2. And let me tell you why they had him show up in season 2. It wasn't for Star Trek. That's fan service for no purpose.
Right.
Okay. That's prime example of fan service for no purpose, because Will Wheaton wanted to be on the show.
That's it.
And so they found a way to get him in there. That's it.
Yeah. If he would have held his horses, he could have rode in on the Defiant during some perilous moment and been like, don't worry, Titan, whatever. You got Mom, you good? He could have like come in at the last moment, having maybe it took him a long time to get the call because he was so far away, and he comes at the last moment, and some key moment he like solves a problem for them, or does something that gets them out of a sticky situation, and even that one moment would have made that character retroactively cooler. Right, and
we're not saying solve the whole problem of the season,
no,
or save the whole season, but just a moment in the season.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Give him a moment that makes the character cooler. Now he has this beard and he's a little more gnarled, and he's like, oh hey brother, we're gonna have to have a conversation later, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it could have been cool, but they. Anyways,
I'm upvoting this moment, the explanation for Data before lore, whatever, and why he's there.
Awesome.
All right. This is the line too, because evolution is not. I'm gonna get in trouble. Is not an act of preservation. It's addition. Really cool. Look at this flyby, dude. I love this flyby. If we were just waiting when we were doing all over.
I mean, you really get to see some great stuff here. So,
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. Back to Geordi and Picard. You want to explain what's going on here?
Let's see. We've gone so far.
That's not. Let's go back to Data, because like they just talk about the sins of their past. All right. So that is this is before his head.
Yeah.
Right.
So that tells us, okay, so now this makes sense, right? Where was Data last? In B4's head.
Right.
Where's B4's head? Here. I mean, it's just like laying it out for you properly.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. It's proper exposition, right? Thank you.
Proper storytelling. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're copying his head. Yeah. Makes sense. Love it. All right. And final log. All right. I guess, and this one explains that Alton soon died before he can perfect the golem, and this was what's left of his golem. And
he was never able to get.
Yeah, he was not able to get it to totally function properly.
Correct.
So Daystrom has been using it basically as the AI for the station.
Their security, right?
Which is super rad.
Yeah.
All right. So, and what she says is all the personalities remain at odds inside this vessel.
That plays an important role, so it's good.
All right, and this is when Geordi talks. He talks about he never feared for his life, but now that he has kids, he can't really. He explains what we explained 20 minutes ago.
And listen, this is really important. Like if people like pass over on this and be like, blah blah blah, whatever. The thing is this is a theme for the whole season 3 of Picard. I mean, we're dealing literally with legacy, right? So we've been dealing with Picard has a son, which was unexpected. Riker's son died, and how that impacted him, right? Beverly's child. We learned how Beverly's relationship with Wesley, how she felt about that, and now we're learning, what Geordi has gone through with his children. This is a theme for the whole season. It's about the relationship between parents and children, and how that all results in a next generation, and how that affects legacy. So it's important, and it fits the theme of what's going on with all the characters.
Legacy. I love that term.
Yeah.
And this is when we get Sydney and Geordi.
Oh, yes. So Sydney, a couple things probably also. So Sydney tells him, if you believed in me, then you would believe in this, basically helping the Titan. And she basically says, I'm staying. He tells her she's going to stay with him. And she's like, I'm going back with the Titan. Right.
Awesome.
So she goes against him. Yeah,
exactly what Geordi would have done.
Probably, yes.
Right.
And she said he's the one who taught her, because he says they're not your family. And she says, yes, they are. And you taught me that.
Right.
So, yeah, it's really great. Very powerful.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Alondra is the other daughter's name. I'm sorry I did not know that. I forgot.
Well, this is her first time in the episodes, and
right.
Sydney's been there for a while.
Yeah, and Sydney's great. By the way, I really like the character. This is what sets apart this season from previous seasons. Is I actually care about the bridge crew. Like, I care about them. I want to see more of the characters. I like their characters. I believe in their abilities. Like, it just reminds me of classic Trek, where like you want to know who was on the bridge, and we've been put in this situation with newer modern Trek, where the bridge crew really isn't important. What's really important is the couple characters that are in charge of the show, Burnham or whatever, right? And in this series, I love the bridge crew, and Sydney is that very first scene when Picard walks in there and she's like smiling at him. It made me smile,
Right. And what's funny is this bridge crew isn't even as important as other shows. So this is not, this is not the Titan series. This is Picard. The show's really about Picard, and yet they've still been able to like ingratiate us with, with these characters and that are growing on us. So it's cool.
Yeah. And this is when we get the splash of Wesley.
Wesley. No.
I'm sorry, not Wesley.
Jack.
Jack, my bad.
Well, it's funny because he's obviously macking on Sydney here.
He's clearly macking.
He's clearly flirting.
The La Crusher.
And it's funny because he does here. There's like this moment where you're like, oh, wait a second. Is there like, are we going to get a love interest here? Something going on?
I hope so.
And then he kind of, backtracks off of it when Alondra kind of gives him the cross-eyed look. And he's like, so do you guys want to like commit some moderate larceny? Yes.
I love this. This is so good. This is like, notice in this scene that I love, and I'm upvoting, there's no, these are all new characters. When was the last time an entire scene of nothing but new characters made you happy about what you watched? Been a while.
Long time.
Been a while. All right. All right. This is when they go back to Daystrom. So they're saying that. What's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
They're saying that Data recognized them.
Yes.
Or whatever. Yeah, I don't know if he recognized them or if he had Riker's file, to be honest, but I don't know.
Well, he recognized him. Well, or he will, I guess. Let's keep moving forward.
Yeah, he will. All right. Riker to Picard, you dead. It's John Luke.
Yes, they've run out of time on the station.
On Daystrom, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you got to go back.
Where am I?
Shaw, you missed the Shaw part. There you go. So this is so great. It's so subtle. I love this. Like Shaw is like all like giddy, like a schoolgirl talking to Commodore LaForge, right? Because he was an engineer.
Oh yeah, he's a great monkey.
Right. He's like, oh my god, it's like you're like Geordi LaForge, right? But yet he just had absolutely zero respect for Picard and Riker. And that is not lost on Picard's face here as he looks at Seven like, what in the heck is going on here? He's like crazy about Geordi, but he's got nothing for me. I thought that was a great moment. Yeah, upvote that for me, actually.
We got a super chat from Foxhound. Let's reset our phasers, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is great because he's a grease monkey. He's an engineer. He's a captain now, but remember on Wolf 359 or whatever, he was an engineer.
Right.
A grease monkey from Chicago. I love this. All right.
This is when we find out that that all of a sudden the Titan starts disappearing and Geordi's like, Picard, what are you doing? And then both of the men realize at the same time, they both say their kids' names at the same time. And they realize it's them.
Yeah, he says that this violates some treaty or whatever. It's shocking to me that we still have like rules regarding cloak. Why are Klingons allowed to use cloaks, but Federation's not?
That is weird to me, right?
It's been that way since like the very beginning. Like,
yeah, usually both people can do it, or you have limitations. It's like nuclear weapons. It's like either you both can do it, or you both can't.
Right. So they're allowed to use it.
Well, maybe there's something, I didn't look into it deeply, but maybe there's something where, currently the Klingons and the, aren't allowed to use it. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. All right. So they get the cloak installed. Tell Mom I'm going to be
Geordi's all on board. Yep. He's all in now.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Geordi's there. We're getting the band back together, Shane.
Yep, this is it.
And we're taking Data with us. Boom,
boom. That's it. All we're missing now is Deanna.
Yep, we're that close, man. I love this. All right, so they couldn't beam them all up or something? What was happening?
So they were struggling to get them, and they weren't. She was trying to download like the last piece of information so they could get Data out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And so Riker says, I'm going to hold them off. You guys go. Right. So he basically sacrifices himself so they can get away, which is exactly what Riker should have done. So well done.
Right. Yeah. This is Riker. This is what Riker would do. Right.
100%.
I love the way Shaw is. Dude, Stashwick is awesome. He's so great. The way he sits, the way he commands the ship is just like, it's both reminiscent and fresh somehow. You know?
Yeah. Good, well said.
Yeah. So Riker stands behind. They get everyone back. And this is when you see Data for the first time.
Oh, it's such a great. I love this. I love this here. Upvote this for me. You know, Geordi's face when he sees Data, it's like, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because of course, you know, their relationship and
yeah. Yeah, it's right back when we saw Worf, when Picard and Riker saw Worf for the first time. Like these
right.
characters coming together for the first time after just as long as we've been waiting.
Mm-hmm,
like it's been 30 years, guys. We've been waiting for the same amount. 20 years. We've been waiting for this moment for decades. They're seeing each other again after decades.
Agreed.
Sorry, all time sort of flies together for me, just to be clear. I'm still shocked that we're on the 6th episode. I feel like we were talking about this like last week.
I know. It's going by too fast.
All right. I'm just gonna skip all of it. Oh, this is good stuff.
So this is a good moment because we see that Jack is finally connecting with Picard. Now he's saying, as opposed to the beginning when he said, you know, basically he was born with like Picard's faults. Now he's saying, I've got good bits from my mom. Oh, and I guess I got some good stuff from you too. And I think, you know, as a father, that's all you ever really want to hear from your kids, you know, is that they acknowledge and are grateful for the positive things that they got from you. So I think this was a nice moment in building their relationship.
We did skip over something that someone just mentioned. I guess there was I forgot about this, and it's because there's no audio on here. But there was a mention, there was like a tease for something in Hangar Bay 12 or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a tease.
Well, it didn't really stay with me.
Oh, okay.
But
stay with me.
Get there.
All right.
Don't worry about that yet. Keep watching.
Yeah, keep watching, guys. Okay. Again, everything's hyperlinked. Everything's important.
Mostly.
Unless you're in tech trouble, then it's not very important.
not yeah.
Or if you're James Kirkbody, that's just fun.
Yeah.
Why do you think I crashed somebody's speeders as a kid? I love this moment with her father, she crashed stuff so you can spend time fixing it with her dad. That's awesome.
Yeah, and
that touched my feelings a little bit because I have 2 daughters. Yeah. I feel like I don't spend enough time with. You know, maybe. Oh man, I gotta. Geordi, don't make the same mistakes I'm making, man.
Well, you know, and he recognizes, and to his credit, he makes it right.
Right. Now we're here. We got Geordi, Picard, Bev, Worf, Data. Jeez. Who's missing? Riker's missing. He was left behind on
Riker, Deanna.
Yeah.
So what we learn here is that, you know, Data's brain is partitioned. So right now, he's all of the different personalities are separated, but in order to turn him on to get this information, they're going to have to remove those partitions, and they're not sure what that's going to happen to all those personalities.
Right. Yeah. We got a super chat from Justin Baker. The way Geordi's daughters interact with him on screen is really great. They just seem natural. Geordi's get away from my daughter. Geordi's.
Oh, that's such a great line.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin, for doing that for $9.99. Thank you. Because there is such a great moment, because when Geordi comes in and he's like, you know, they don't know how to fix the cloaking device. It's like about to wreck the ship. Mm-hmm. And Geordi shows up and he's like, I know how to do it. Right. And then he kind of looks over at Jack and he's like, what are you doing? And then he's like, stay away from my daughter. Right. And I'm like, oh God, you know, that's such no matter what century you're from, like that line works.
Yep. That picks up right there. Like, hey, buddy, get out of here.
Yeah. Get away from my daughter.
Get out of here.
That's great.
Yeah. My kid comes home and is like, Dad, I like this boy from school. I'm like, no, put a pin in that. Put a pin in that right now. Okay. Boys are horrible and gross. Stop. Full stop. Nope. No. Full stop. All right.
Amen.
All right. Yes, and they're trying to figure out what Vadic stole from Daystrom, so they still don't know.
Data's got the information.
So to remember this, so Vadic, they did steal the portal weapon.
Yep.
They left Data there, which is like, so all the theories that people were talking about, like, what she stole from Daystrom was lore. Well,
Right.
we know that's not the case now, right? So whoever had that theory, great theory, that's now been disproven. So what did she take? It's in Data's brain, man. I'm sorry to get all the dude with you, but like
what was that all about?
They need
to Data's brain, man.
They gotta reboot Data, man, so they can get all the information, you know, man.
Sound like Randy Macho Man Savage.
Yeah. Yeah. So they gotta isolate Data, away from the other personalities. Yeah, I guess his brain is partitioned like a hard drive, and you have like Data in one partition, like Data is in the C drive. Or no, the D drive. Laura's in the L drive. You know, Soon is in the C drive. Right. So they boot him up. Oh,
he's awake. And you know what's so cool? I'm so glad they did this. It's Data. He recognizes Picard. He recognizes Geordi. It's Data. The first thing we see is him. And I think that was critical. I mean, that's the way it had to be.
Yeah, up vote for me.
If it would have been lore first, it just wouldn't have been right.
It wouldn't have been right. Yeah.
Right. So well done by the writing staff on that.
You want to upvote it?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, that's the. Yes, there's multiple personalities in there, but the personality we need to see first is this one.
Yeah,
this is the one, and he needs to wake up and look at Geordi. That's what we need to see. That brotherly connection, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And then no sir, the Captain Picard. It's just beautiful. What a beautiful moment.
So great, dude.
This is the moment we expected to get in season 1.
Yeah, it is.
And we didn't.
But we got it now. We got it now.
There are many of myself inside the Daystrom Android M510. So I guess that's the new model. All right. And then he starts
getting confused. They're trying to get the information from him, and then there's a little bit of a bleeping out, and then he's like, "I'm Lore," and you're like, "Oh,
hello."
And of course, Lore is Data's evil brother, and
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys all know who Lore is.
Yeah, you guys, everyone knows who Lore is.
Yeah,
he's the bad version of Data. All right.
Yeah,
he's if he was human, he would have a goatee.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, he uses contractions.
Right, that's right. All right, so it is what the changelings stole from Daystrom.
What is it?
What is it?
Go back. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
It's Jean-Luc Picard.
Dun, dun, dun. So yes, they did get Picard's body. That's what they stole. We don't know why they need his body, but there could be a plethora of reasons.
And we got Riker on the Shrike, right? And now, did you show Vadic killing? Oh no, sorry. Okay, I thought he was doing something else. Okay, yeah. So you got these changelings basically kicking his butt, right?
Right.
It's kind of cool seeing Riker getting beat up a little bit. Makes you mad, right?
Yeah, makes me mad.
And then just to show you how crazy they are, basically this changeling turns around and kills both of the changelings behind him, and then turns into Vadic, who then has like some ridiculously crazy laughter over killing him. Like Vadic is obviously crazy.
You know what's crazy is for a minute there, right? It was almost like it was like misleading on purpose, because I thought, okay, so it's Vadic, right? But right when I thought it was like another changeling rescuing Riker.
Right.
I thought there was going to be some kind of Odo connection or something, you know?
Well, of course, that's the first thing you think is going to happen. And then you realize that Renee is dead, and that's not going to work. Right.
If Renee was alive, though, that's what
that would have happened.
100% would have been what happened.
That would have been cool.
He would have turned into Renee's character.
Yeah.
Captain Riker, let's get you out of here.
Right. That would have been great.
God.
But instead, it's like, oh, maybe he's rescued. Oh no.
No. It's
no.
Crazy Vadic.
Gosh dang it.
Yeah. So someone asked, why does Vadic have scars if she's a changeling? That's how nuts she is. She clearly she can look like anything. She chooses this crazy figure with the scars.
The outside is a reflection of her inside.
Right.
She's scarred by what happened during the Dominion War.
Right. Wild. Yeah. Okay, and he gets thrown into a cell, and look who's there.
Oh, you know what's great is he says I'll never give it up. I'm loyal. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, are you? And then we see it's Deanna.
Dun dun dun, and that's. Let me get to that point.
Just jumping
without getting a freaking copyright claim. Sorry, guys.
And then she's like, "Oh, Will," It's like her,
Will. Yes.
Yeah, like what have you gotten us into, Will?
And now we got the whole crew back together again. Well,
that's right. Everybody's
to a
on
degree.
Screen.
Everyone's been on screen now.
No, yeah, everybody's been on screen.
Right. They're not yet all together per se, but they're
right.
Screen.
And this is where the episode ends. Right.
Yep. And then the amazing credits, which we have said multiple times, don't be sleeping on the credits.
Yeah. And we do have a couple of so here's what are our questions leading in here? Okay, so what do we need to know? We need to know. Okay, yeah. So they brought the team together. We see Geordi. So why did the changeling steal Jean-Luc's body? Okay, we got that. We need to know. What is the final form of Data we've just seen? Like, we got to see Data. We got to see lore. We know he's a bunch of different things. What will that character end up being? Right?
Right.
And most importantly, what's going to happen on Frontier Day? So that's what we need to know.
Yeah, someone brought up the point that Frontier Day seems to be a bad idea, right? They're like, why are you bringing the whole fleet together in one place ever? Like, that is a bad idea.
Yeah, Geordi was writing letters for that. Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, it's a bad idea. We don't know why. T. Stoney for $5. Thank you. Kirk's body. Shout out to the Shatnerverse novels. He was resurrected with Borg tech. Yes,
that's right.
The one where he goes to that planet Chad or whatever. He hooks up with like a Romulan Klingon hybrid woman, and he like commandeers a starship, to like protect the colony of Chad. These hybrids from like the Shatnerverse novels are so great.
Yeah, love them.
Yeah, the Borg nanites is what brought him back to life. Super rad.
Love it.
The Return, yeah. All right, and that's it. So, highest rated episode yet, for sure. 16, 18, so 17. That is the highest. So first off, not only the highest rated episode of Picard, highest rated episode of TV we have ever reviewed, ever.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many moments there. I mean, so many Roddenberrys, so many connections back. I mean, just lots of reasons why this should be the highest rated one so far.
Right. Really good stuff. Really great episode. A lot more to come. We have 4 more episodes, and we're coming into that third act, and man, it's setting it up real beautifully. Like, don't miss any of it. If you can watch this, it depends on where you're at, obviously, but watch this as soon as possible, because there are going to be stuff coming up that will be spoiled for you, because they're so epic and so like amazing that people are going to want to talk about it, and they're going to talk about it online. So either watch it as soon as you can, or just avoid it internet until you can watch it. That's all I can tell you.
That's all you can do.
Because there's moments coming up that are like, that will be shared. They just will be.
Yeah. It'll come out fast too.
All right.
But so far, hopefully everybody's enjoying it. It's been really a wild ride. It's going by so fast. It's hard to believe it started 6 weeks, a month and a half ago. We've been doing this. It's really hard to believe that. But it's been great so far, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it. So.